Hi everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. So you can see since the last video I have coloured another section of this massive big fin by myself. I think we've done it enough times now that you guys know what you're doing and you really don't need to see it anymore. So just to sort of match the fish on this side, if you remember, I did flip round which way the gradient was between the tail and the fins, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So because we have these ones starting at light in at the body and out to dark, I'm going to do dark in at the body and light at the very end. While I do have the fin colours out though, I'm going to do these little ones down here because that's nice and quick. Recap on colours for the fins again, just very quickly, is Eggshell PC 140. Yellowed Orange PC 1002 and Mineral Orange PC 1033. So I'm just going to give this a quick layer of the eggshell. Just get this down. I don't know how I feel about having to do all this. Go back and do all purple scales again. I think it's making me a wee bit sad. There's quite a lot of work in it, but we'll get through it the same way as we did last time. Okay, so I want this one to match these fins here, so they're going to be eggshell in here and the mineral orange is going to go at the outside. So I'm just going to, that's the wrong one, mineral orange. I'm just going to pop this down. This is me sort of deciding where I want the colours to go. So I'm using quite a light hand. Bring this up, I think. See, I'm not pressing heavily here. I think I'm gonna follow some of Kerby's shading though. Down at the bottom at any rate. There we go. There's no rules with stuff like this, especially when it's something like fins. It's a very strange makeup of organic matter. It's not like, you know, it's not like a piece of metal that you know is going to be shiny or whatever. So it's see-through, it's structured, although it's, you know, it's fluid almost, very bendy, and that gives you a lot of room for artistic license in terms of what you actually want to do with it when it comes to colouring it in. I like to take advantage of stuff like that. Okay, so I've got my yellowed orange now. I'm just trying to decide how much of each colour to have on show, you know, from the top down. Again, I'm not being particularly careful here. I don't feel the need to. Yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm looking up at my my guidance monitor over here, and it looks a lot better on the camera than it does in the book at this stage. So that's a good thing. We'll go with that, shall we? So I'm going to start to fill in now. I'm kind of going over everything, and I'm quite happy that that's where my colours are going. So again, I'm going to go back in with the mineral orange because it really does get kind of washed out quite quickly next to the yellowed orange. So get that in. I'm going to make this as dark as I can beside these little hatched areas up to about there. Make that quite vibrant. There we go. Nice. Right, I'm going to go over this with the yellowed orange. It's quite nice already. I'm trying to think if there's anything exciting happening. Oh, it was Mr. Jem's birthday yesterday. That was good fun. We have a favourite Indian restaurant that we like to go to, and we only go, you know, on special occasions. So we did that, and the owner of this restaurant is absolutely hilarious. He's one of the funniest men I've ever met in my life. But he takes really good care of you, and the food is absolutely excellent. So we stuffed ourselves last night, and then we went to the pub for a little while, had a few drinks, Nothing outlandish, but yeah, it was a good night anyway. It's nice because we don't get the chance to go out often. The last time, notwithstanding the wedding, that doesn't count, but the last time we were actually out socialising, the two of us, was when we went to our local agricultural show, and that was at the end of May. And this is now, but we're now into September, so yeah, you can see that we don't get out much. All right, that looks quite good. I'm quite happy with that so far. I was just wondering, I'll just do this other one down here. I'm only 6 minutes into this video, so let's just go for it. Do all the fins. Again, depending on how much time I've got and what I decide we're getting through, because I haven't really given much thought to what we were going to colour today. I might, at the end of this video, I might speed colour the tail, and then that would be all the fins done, and we don't have to look at eggshell and yellowed orange and mineral orange ever again. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but you can let me know in the comments. I'm just getting sort of, you know, it's starting to get quite wearing now working with these colours, because it does take up such a huge bulk of the picture. In terms of how it looks though, I'm glad I have stuck with the same colours for impact, definitely. Sorry about that, guys. I just decided to put one of the LED lights on. It's got really dark outside again. This is Sunday morning, and everything's very sort of peaceful and quiet this morning, but the sky has just literally got darker and darker and darker to the point where I think the heavens are just going to open just shortly. Oh, the joys. Anyway, that's better. That looks a bit brighter now. You can see what's going on a bit better. Yeah, I'm using like a flicky motion down the bottom here. Now I'm going to build this up. Yes, I'm just following Kerby's lines, but I'm going to fill bits of these in, but just because of the number of lines that he's left, literally that is the reason that I'm doing it, and that's probably not a very good reason to to decide to do something, but it feels very flowy, and I want to sort of keep that flowiness with my pencils. Maybe even a wee bit up in here. I'll go back with my eggshell now. Start to fill that in a bit better. It's nice as well to have the contrast of the eggshell next to the mineral orange, because it just makes them, you know, it makes them stand out from each other. It doesn't all blend in together, which is what so often happens with things like this. But we're doing okay here. Yeah. Now I'm going to bring this all the way down, this eggshell, but when I'm down the bottom here, I'm just literally letting the pencil sort of wander over the paper itself. I'm not putting any pressure on it. Okay, now I'm going to take the mineral orange and I'm going to start working this in from the bottom. By putting the eggshell down, it just gives you a much richer base. Now, if you haven't used any particular sort of pressure on it, it means you can still put plenty of, you know, the paper will still take plenty of layers. But it just gives you a nice kind of solid base colour to work from. There. Just sort of filling this in. Okay, back to this yellowed orange. Again, I'm kind of using flicky motions. Hi, Jock. Oh, big sigh. So terrible. Such a hard life being a dog. Okay, so So this is starting to come together a bit now. Still looking quite patchy, but I'm not overly worried about it, to be honest. I'm just going to use this eggshell to go over the bits that I feel are a bit, you know, you can still see quite a lot of white of the paper showing through. Again, it's not something that I mind though. I quite like seeing the texture of the paper. I think it makes the drawings more interesting. I'm pretty sure I've said that about a squillion times over the last couple of months, but it's true. It's just my preference, nothing else. So we're going to go back to our other familiar friends now, just for a little while, not for ages. We're going to go back to the fish scale colours, and we're going to do a little bit on that. So the colours there, again, just a quick recap for you. It's been a while since we've used them. Is the dioxazine purple hue, which is PC. Come on, focus camera. You can do it. Nope, doesn't want to. PC 132. Lilac PC 956, and Parma Violet, which is PC 10. That light is really bright. 10008. There we go. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using. So having a think about what we did on this side in terms of the highlight, I'm basically going to do the same thing again for this little guy. If you need a reminder or an explanation of that, please go back and watch the original video, because quite frankly, I'm not going to sit and explain it again because I feel like I rambled on for far too long last time. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lilac and I am going to hold it up here, all the way up here, but I'm also going to hold it horizontally. So that is really just to keep as light a hand as possible, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little layer of that over the fish's body using circular motions, really light hand. Now if you remember rightly from last time, what I did with this was, this helped me decide where the highlight guideline was going to be. I left like a bold stripe in the middle of the fish's body. So while I was doing all the complicated stuff and working with the scales and everything, it meant that I knew when to stop and I wouldn't get carried away. So we're just going to do exactly the same thing again, just that rough guideline. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be working away at it. I'll get a little bit of this lilac down. See, we've got a penny in here. I think that's really cute as well. So if you have a look over here, I can just pull this over a bit so it's in shot. The highlight basically went up over the top of the eye and kind of came out from behind his gill as well, didn't it? So about there. And around his poor little eye. There you go. And down to the end of his nose. Wonder if we're going to have to give this guy lipstick as well, like we did up here. I hope not. That really upset me. It's like, how very dare you? Right, there we go. Right, so that is barely there, but I can see that. And that is quite important for me as I'm working through, because it is quite complicated and time consuming doing these scales in this fish. So just having that there as a reminder means I won't get carried away, hopefully, and everything will be handy dandy. So again, with this, you know, I'm going to start with the obvious places. This down in here is going to be as dark as night. So I'm just going to take the dioxazine and just go straight in there and whack in all the way down. There's absolutely no point in messing about with bits like that, none whatsoever. There you go, super, absolutely splendid. When we think of the light source shining down, decided it's kind of coming like this way. So again, where Kerby has his little hatch lines, that is the dark areas that we want. So we're just going to do exactly as we did before and just going to take it a little section at a time. Now just remember that when you're doing this, that the dioxazine is a very, very dark purple. So stick to your lighter hand, you know, when you're pressing down with a pencil to begin with, until you get a good gauge of how dark you want your fish to be, or how vibrant you want it to be is probably a better phrase. Now this for me is, I am very cautious because I used to be really heavy handed when I first started adult colouring like properly. I had like a total like clamp grip on my pencils, and I was pressing really hard, and I ruined quite a few, you know, nice pictures just by being really heavy handed. So I am overly cautious, and to have a really vibrant piece like this fish is very strange for me now, because I do tend to work with lighter colours and much lighter pressure. So it's something that I'm sort of like, oh, I need to watch what I'm doing. But it's just, once you get the gauge of a pencil, but say particularly this dioxazine, it is really dark. So just, you know, go easy on it until you find where you're happy, kind of thing. Okay, this part here, we're going to have to start putting in the highlights here now. In my mind, the highlights going to kind of start in line with the where this penny is. I talked before about using reference points to help you when you're doing things like highlights. So that's exactly what I'm going to use that for. So where the top of this penny is here, that's where I'm going to start putting my highlight in. So that is basically going to be that scale there along. So I'm going to avoid that just now because I'm quite happy trundling along here with my with my purples. So I'm using the Parma Violet, and just go over this scale just now, because this is one of the ones that's tucked in behind the fin. Get that on the go. That's good. This is one of these ones that once you get into a pattern, you know, once you get started, then you get, you know, you tend to go a little bit faster. It's just getting into a little rhythm. So that is me. I am getting organised now for my honeymoon, which is still a few weeks away, but we haven't really done much to get ourselves organised, so that's probably a good thing at this juncture. I was deciding what to take with me in terms of art supplies and that kind of thing, because there's no way that I'm not taking stuff. So if you've got any suggestions for things that I should be taking, then please feel free to leave a comment, because I am always open to suggestions. I am going to be taking quite a lot, I think, because I am very easily bored, and the flight is quite long. Or it's 2 flights actually, and they're both quite long, and I've got a bit of waiting in between times. So I think I'm going to have to take a variety of stuff. That's kind of my plan anyway. But when I'm actually there, I think I'm going to find it quite inspiring in terms of drawing as well, because apparently it's very beautiful, and I can see myself drawing a beach at some point. So that might have to go, you know, a sketch pad will definitely have to go with me as well. So yeah, I'm open to any suggestions for stuff like that. Feel free. If you do a lot of travelling, I generally don't do a lot of travelling because I live on a farm, and when you live on a farm, you've got animals to feed all the time. So for those of you that are more experienced travellers than me, I'm quite happy to take your advice. I do tend to just use my Derwent carry-all. It's nice and big. It carries a lot of, you know, it holds a lot of pencils and things. My only complaint about that is I can't get a colouring book in it. I can get my sketchbook in it, but my even the sort of smaller adult colouring books don't fit in it. So that's a bit of a bummer, but hey, he can't have it always. Come back in here with this dioxazine. It's pretty good. I see that some of you have used the social media links that I put up in the last video. I don't know if it was the last video. A couple of videos ago. yeah, so that's nice to see some of you on Instagram and Facebook, so yay, that makes me happy as well. All you need to start doing now is show me your work, all your handiwork, not just mine. But I really like Instagram. Someone was saying that they were frightened to make an Instagram account because they might just spend hours scrolling through lots of pretty artwork, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm down that, you know, down said rabbit hole on a regular basis, but I always seem to manage to come back up, so it's fine. It's okay. Oh wow. Right, okay, that's me made a wee start on the scales, so I'm quite happy. I'm going to take this lilac now and I'm just going to start to fill in here where his little fins coming out, and I've left a tiny wee stripe of white at the top, kind of similar to what I did up here with this fishy lip. So that Parma Violet, I am going to blend a little bit of that in, and then just down the very bottom with the dioxazine, and just put a little lick in that bottom corner just to give it a wee bit of dimension. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. I think I'm going to do just a couple more scales so that I'm in line with that penny, and then it feels as if I've done something substantial there. So I just, again, as before, I'm using the Parma Violet and I'm putting a coat of that down. I know I haven't done it with all of them, but you get the picture. And then I'm going to stick in the dioxazine. Get it nice and heavy. And then just back with the Parma Violet. Now, if you remember, we stuck with the two darkest colours because that was going to be the underside of the fish, so it was like the underside curvature and it wouldn't get much light, and that left us the lilac to work with up here, which was the lightest colour, and that would really give us a bit of variation and also a bit of depth in what we're doing. So again, Parma Violet, and then the dioxazine. Back to the Parma Violet. I'm just fading this out the bottom. Again, this, as we talked about, bounce light along this bottom edge, so I'm taking the lilac and just blending that in along that bottom edge. Now, we'll tidy that up a little bit once we've got all the scales done all the way along, because we'll make it nice and uniform just along that edge by doing a bit of blending. But as I say, there's no point in worrying about that right this very second because we've still got quite a lot to do here. So I'll just get on with it. The scales on this fish seem to be a lot more hurried and crowded compared to the other one, and I don't know whether it's just me, but I don't know, you guys can give me your opinion on that as well. It just feels as if this was maybe the second fish and he was fed up doing them. Right, those are the scales I'm going to colour. I don't really watch a lot of TV. Something that I'm just not that interested in. However, there are certain things that I will deliberately sit down to watch if I know that they're on. And one of the things that I did yesterday, I had kind of like a day off yesterday, like a day to myself, which was really nice. That doesn't happen very often. And I'd started watching, when it first came out, I'd started watching Orange is the New Black on Netflix. And I wasn't really all that into it. I mean, it was reasonably entertaining and it passed the time, but it seemed, with me not being particularly into, you know, watching TV, I thought, yeah, I could take it or leave it. And all of a sudden, when it got to season 5, I was like, oh, I need to find out what happens. I need to know what happens next. And I think season 6 is there now as well, so I still had a bit of season 5 to watch, so I was watching that yesterday. God, do you know something? It's the first time in ages I hardly moved from the sofa all day because I was like binge watching, and it's not something I do, and it's like really not good for you. So anyway, yeah, I watched a lot of prison stuff yesterday, but the actress who plays Suzanne, I can't remember her name. It's absolutely terrible, but she's a fantastic actress and she's so well cast. She really, really is. And the part that I don't want to spoil it for anybody that is watching it, but I'm assuming that everybody has seen season 5 because I'm really far behind. But she's at a stage where she's having one of her crazy episodes, and it's just, she's such a good actress. The girl, she really, really is. I'm super impressed with it. So yeah, that was me yesterday. Something that's very out of character for me, but it's nice once in a while just to kind of, you know, veg out and do something like that. I caught Mr. Jem the other night watching Coronation Street. I laughed loud. That's something that we definitely don't, you know, soaps. But that is one, Mr. Jem and I have a lot of similar qualities, but we also have complete polar opposite tastes and opinions on some things, and I think that's why our relationship works so well. And he will literally turn the TV on and just sit and watch the screen for the sake of watching it, and he does it to help his brain shut off after work. It's absolutely, I mean, you can see he has like a glazed expression on his face. He's not actually taking any of it in. And sometimes he'll sit with the iPad as well, and he'll actually be like, you know, messing about on the iPad, and the TV's just on in the background for him. So there's times when I come into the room, I'm like, what are you watching? And it's something like one of the soaps or something, but he secretly likes it because he still knows what all the, you know, he knows all the characters' names and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, and he says, I don't watch rubbish like that. Oh no, of course you don't. Anyway, not that it bothers me, but I just think it's quite funny that he's in denial. Okay, I'm quite happy with that little group of scales we've done. That started us off again. Now remember what I said about things like this. So often I see people saying that they would never colour a picture in this book because it's so detailed and it's really intimidating. You just take it a section at a time, and I quite often do this when it's very, very large areas that have a lot of, you know, complicated subsections, if you like. I will do a little bit of that and go and do something else, and it's exactly the same as we've been doing with these fins as well. Just do a bit at a time. And, you know, it's not a chore and it's not scary because you're only doing, I mean, I coloured in, what, 16 scales, 17 scales there. That's not a lot, it's not a big deal. It looks good. Let's move on. Right, the other thing that I really want to do, and this is like the completionist in me, is our sort of seafoamy stuff. I would quite like to get all of that done on this left-hand page. So I'm going to zoom out a wee bit because we're a bit close for stuff like that now. That's better. So we're going to come up here first of all and join this on to where it was. Now again, if you remember the colours and the technique, first of all we had the sky blue light, which is PC 1086, and we also have the muted turquoise, which is PC 1088. So same old rules apply. Really light coat of the sky blue light. Again, just sort of tickling the paper, not doing anything particularly fancy schmancy with that. Just to get a little background colour down. And then I'm going to take this muted turquoise. The other thing while I'm doing this video is I apologise profusely, and please don't judge me on my nails. I have shellac on my nails and it has grown out quite considerably. My problem is that our local salon is quite a small salon. Our nearest town is quite small, and the girl that does the nails is away on holiday for 2 weeks. So I've been completely unable to get an appointment, so I've just had to walk about with really skanky nails. So I am going next week to get them taken off, so just please don't judge me. I know they're bad, it's not my fault. Right, so anyway, with this muted turquoise, I am just picking patches along my seafoam, and I'm just putting little circly kind of bits in, and we're going to go back into these and darken them down at various points. But it's up to you where you want to put these muted turquoise patches. There's no right or wrong. So I'm going back over with the sky blue light again over the muted turquoise that we've just put down. Again, not pressing particularly hard. I would say quite a light pressure. There we go. Starting to build up a little bit of that sky blue light colour because we don't want it to be really, really blue, or else it's not going to stand out against the pastel background. So I'm just going back to the areas now where I have put in the muted turquoise, and I'm just going to kind of build it up a little bit so that some of it stands out a wee bit more. So yeah, there we go. And then back over with the sky blue light, pressing a bit harder this time and pulling out that muted turquoise, you know, so when I'm going over it, I'm actually trying to manipulate it, spread it about a bit. There we go. Nice, 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 nice. I've got a frog in my throat. Excuse me. Okay, I'll do this little bit here as well. While we're here. Quick coat of the muted turquoise. Not muted turquoise. That was the sky blue light, not muted turquoise. Don't listen to me because I'm telling you lies. I'm telling you lies. It seems natural to me to put the muted turquoise in the hatched areas that Kerby has so generously left. However, there is nothing to say that that is correct, or if you don't see that that's logical, then pick somewhere else. There we go. That looks pretty good. I really like these colours together. That's kind of delicate, desaturated. I think I would use these colours again for a background. Again, many of you know that I am into more delicate backgrounds rather than dark or, you know, very, very bright, vivid backgrounds. So that these are exactly the kind of colours I would have as a background, and I'd be really happy with them. Back over that, and I'm pressing quite hard this time now. There we go, good stuff. There's quite a lot of seafoam on this side. I'm just looking around the picture, there's loads. Just work my way around in an anti-clockwise fashion, I think. Okay, while we're up here, what do you think this is? Is this part of this little guy? Or is it something different entirely? Let me know in the comments section what you think this is, because I have absolutely no idea, and we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with it. So, answers on a postcard. Any thoughts at all? Anything? And I don't know what this is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be like I don't know. Half of me wants to say a burger, but the other half of me is like, it looks like somebody's tried to make some sort of like donut Scooby snack. So you can tell me what you think that one is as well. Can you hear that? He's dreaming. He stopped. Sometimes when Jock dreams, it's like, it's epic and it goes on for ages, and all his feet and everything start paddling. I think he chases sheep in his dreams. But the noises, like the squeaking and everything, like it eventually turns into full-scale barking. It's quite funny, but he is absolutely out cold. I mean, he's fast asleep. Our old dog Mist that we don't have anymore, she used to do it all the time, and she was hilarious because she was like, you could see she was like galloping. She wasn't, you know, chasing after things. She was going flat out, and every single, like, our skin used to twitch all over her, you know, like our coat used to twitch, and our eyelids were twitching, and our whiskers were twitching, and all of our feet were going. We used to say she's got her pinball flippers on, because all four of them would be going like this all at the same time, and it was hilarious to sit and watch her. God love her. But Jock's quite funny because I say when he starts the kind of whimpering and the squeaking, it turns into like a proper bark eventually, and then he wakes himself up, and it's the, you know, that expression on his face. He has got a very expressive face, and he always has had, and that sort of look of confusion is perfect on his little face. It's really funny. He's one of these strange dogs as well. He's obsessed with looking up. If he hears a plane or he sees like a bird of prey, he will sit with his head facing forward and just use his eyes to look up, as if like he doesn't want the plane or the bird to know that he's looking at it. And I've never had a collie that is interested in things up in the sky, like the way that he is, because he really is interested in it. It's very, very strange. And it's the same, he doesn't like buzzy things. Like if there's a bee, he'll try and eat a bee, or you know, a fly or a wasp, he will try and eat it because he does not like it buzzing about him. I don't know what that's all about. But he watches, again, he watches and tends to keep his head still, and it's his eyes that follow, you know, the insect round the room or outside. Really strange. Don't know what his thing is about that, but he really doesn't like buzzy things. He would rather eat it so that it stopped buzzing. He's a strange dog. He's my strange dog though. He's actually a really sensitive wee soul. He's had some behavioural problems since Mist departed us. He has, it's like a separation anxiety, and we've got to be very careful. You can leave him with the other dog, because we still have Tilly the Jack Russell. It's not like you can't leave him on his own, but he doesn't like being left twice, and that happens when I have to go out to work on a farm. So I'll maybe go out at, say it's midday, I go out, and then Mr. Jem will come in and have his lunch and feed the dogs, and then he will go back out to the farm, out to work in the afternoon, by which time I'm not back, and I come back maybe, say, 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever. It's that second time he's been left, for whatever reason, he just cannot cope with it, and he likes to mark in the kitchen, and he lifts his leg on our bins, you know, on the rubbish bins, and he only does it when both of us leave him. He doesn't do it any other time, and it doesn't matter if the Jack Russell is with him or not. That's when he does it. So I think he gets quite upset thinking, everyone's leaving me, and he doesn't have Mist for moral support, because he never ever did anything like that in the house while she was alive, ever. And this all started when he realised that she wasn't coming back. So that's it. He is. He's quite a sensitive wee soul. And if you shout, he automatically assumes it's him that's getting into trouble, and he goes and hides. He thinks you're going to batter him. You're like, I'm not giving you into trouble. And he kind of sits and looks all pathetic with those eyes. It's quite funny. But he has got a lot braver though, because when Mist was alive, she was the sort of assertive, dominant one, and Jock would wait to see what her and the little dog, the Jack Russell, he used to wait and see what Mist and Woo were going to do, and if they went and did whatever it was, then it was okay and he would go as well. Whereas now, because Woo's getting a bit older, he's having to make all his own decisions without Mist's help all of a sudden, and I think he kind of struggles with that as well, but he has got much braver because he's had to do it on his own. It used to be he was terrified when anyone came into the house, and it would take about half an hour for him to let that person stroke him, you know, even though you say to him, oh, it's okay or whatever. Whereas now he's realised that if I let someone over the threshold of the door of the house, he knows that they're not going to hurt him, and that's taken a long time. But we had someone in the house the other day who he has met maybe 2 or 3 times before, but out in public, and the minute she came in, he was up beside her and, you know, trying to get her to pet him. He was nudging her like elbow with his nose and everything, and wagging his tail. So things like that, it's quite nice that he's, you know, he's kind of learned to do things himself. But sometimes I just wish he would toughen up, and I know it's just his nature, it's not, but he really is a pansy sometimes. But he's a very lovable pansy. When it comes to chasing sheep, it's a different thing entirely. It's like having a different dog. But anyway, we all have our feelings. Unfortunately, that's Jock's. He's just a sensitive soul. But he does okay. And he's great for a cuddle as well. See if you're sad and you need cheering up. Oh, he will let you cuddle him all day long. All day long. Which is quite nice. Again, I think because he's quite sensitive, I think he can maybe sense that you're not great, or, you know. We found that with Tilly. Tilly knows if you start to cry, Tilly, this is Woo, this is a Jack Russell, same dog, just more than one name for her. She knows when you're upset, and if you start to cry, she comes up and sits on your lap. And sometimes she'll try and lick the tears off your face, but I think that's more because they're salty rather than because she's feeling sorry for you. So I do think that some dogs do have you know, a sixth sense about stuff like that. Mist didn't. Mist was useless with stuff like that, but that was okay. But she's special. Okay, I'm kind of like getting on a bit here. I'm just looking at the time. I'm just going to finish off these seafoamy bits, and then I'm going to speed colour this tail, and that is it for today. And the good thing about that is it means we've got most of the tedious stuff done, and we can get on with enjoying the rest of this page, because there are quite a few interesting things on this page. So I'm just going to go for it. So I'm just continuing on exactly the way I've done before. This doesn't need any explaining because you've already been through this. And if you're unsure or you want a recap, if you just go back to the probably, I would say, 2 videos ago, then you'll get what it is you need. So that would be, this is part 4. Yeah, go and look for part 4, and that will have us doing some of the seafoamy stuff. In fact, I think I've done seafoamy stuff in just about every video, apart from maybe the first one. Yeah, so the other thing that we are aware of that is going to, I don't like to use the word upset, but it is upset. The next thing that's going to upset Jock is that when we come back from our honeymoon, we will actively be looking for our next collie pup, because we need to have 2 dogs for the volume of sheep that we've got, and it's going to be a huge routine upset for Jock. So I have no idea how this is going to go. It's probably not going to go very well, but it will just take a little bit of time for everybody to settle in. And I was saying to Mr. Jem that I think once the puppy is more dog-sized than puppy-sized, I think it'll actually be beneficial to Jock, because he will have a companion again, and it's going to be female. Because generally he gets on quite well with other dogs, as long as they're not overbearing. He's quite sociable and he's quite happy to play, and he's very polite when he's out playing with, you know, a tennis ball or whatever. If it goes near the other dog, he will let the other dog get it. So he's good in that sense. So I think it'll be nice for him to have a cohort that's around his own size. Much as him and Woo get on really well, he can't play with her. 1, because of her age, but 2, because of the size difference. He can't play with her the way he used to play with Mist, and I think having another collie is probably going to be good for him in the long run. It's certainly going to be beneficial in terms of working with sheep, because he won't have absolutely everything to do himself, which is not a position we want to be in again, because it's kind of hard on him. So that's the next thing. So I started looking at puppies. I'm really like still not ready. I'm trying my hardest, but I still find it quite upsetting that I'm kind of like replacing Mist, because she was my dog. Her and I were very, very close indeed, and I just don't think I'm ever gonna. I'm not that I'm trying to I don't want another Mist. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want another dog to be like her, and I know that no other dog will ever be like her. But I find it like a really odd situation now that I'm having to do this, because much as Jock and Woo love me and they spend a lot of time with me, they are Mr. Jem's dogs. They're not my dogs. So I don't know. You know, we could get this puppy, and the puppy could bond to him, and I'm kind of like still here on my own, so that I would then have 3 dogs to look after, none of which have an affinity with me, that's not really like the best feeling. So I don't know, maybe I'm scared that the dog's not going to love me, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. It's not the same as having a pet. It's just, I don't know, you have this bond with a working dog that you never have with a pet, and I've had plenty of, you know, pets in varying shapes and forms, but it's not the same thing, and it's really difficult to explain to people. I suppose it would be like if you, I'm just trying to think of an example that might even be remotely relevant to anyone. I think it might be slightly, if you had a work colleague that you worked with for, you know, years and years, and it was just the two of you, if that work colleague died, then you would be quite upset. So it's kind of like that, but the dog's also your, you know, your friend. You spend time together and you look after the dog, you feed it, you make sure it doesn't get sick, and when it does get sick you take it to the vet. So it's all of these things. But it's a really difficult relationship to describe, and then when it's not there anymore, because it is a working relationship, you have to replace it. And it's just not that easy when you're, you know, the dog is your pet as well. It's quite a strange thing to explain to people. I have seen some really cute puppies though. So you can see as well here that I have already added in my Kerby creature eyes. I just went round with my pen and gave all the little critters their eyeballs. Make them look a little bit more, I don't know, cute maybe? Something like that. I just think they look better with eyes. I suppose maybe that I think they look kind of creepy without their pupils. I don't know. There we go. I was really tempted to put some of the muted turquoise in here, but because I've got this part here, I've decided against it. Just personal preference. I think realistically, using these two colours for the seafoam areas, you could probably go in a lot heavier than I'm doing, and it would still stand out, because the pastel that we're going to use for the background is quite green in comparison. When you see it next to the muted turquoise, it makes the muted turquoise look more blue, so it's not going to blend in, you know, it's not going to disappear when we start doing the background. Okay, I'll down this little section now. Look at this little guy peeking out. It's kind of cute. Here's something else, I don't know what this is either. What are your thoughts on this? That's another one for the comments. It looks like half a butterfly. I'm not entirely sure what it's meant to be though. Or is it part of the flower? It could be part of the flower, couldn't it? I think that's half the fun sometimes with colouring in things like this that aren't necessarily particularly realistic. You've got a bit of a guessing game in deciding on what some things are, and a lot of it is down to just your, you know, your own perception of it and what you decide to do with it. I've seen quite a few posts from people in, you know, some of the colouring groups online, and they've circled a part of the picture and they're asking everybody, what is this? I can't figure out what it is. It's quite common, and it's quite interesting because it shows that we've all got a different idea to perhaps what the artist might have had in their mind originally. We all see things differently. But that's one of the things about art in general, and that's what makes it quite subjective. But it's also what makes it interesting too. Okay, back in with this muted turquoise. There we are, getting somewhere now. A bit heavier with the sky blue light this time. I'll fill all that in. As the sun's trying to come out again here. I've turned off the ring light again. I seem to have enough daylight. I do prefer working in natural light. I just find it doesn't strain my eyes as much, especially if you're sitting for a long time and you're doing something like this. I find it better overall if I work in natural light. Alright then, so this is the last part of the seafoam, and this is the one that disappears over to the other side. And when I'm doing this, I'm just working in sections. I just sort of mentally, you know, sort of put it into little compartments. And again, it's just to make it a bit easier. Working in little sort of bite-sized sections, it just makes it feel less like a chore and a little less overwhelming. In this section here, I'm just following Kerby's lines again that he's left us for my muted turquoise. So when I'm putting this last layer of the sky blue light on, I'm pressing a little bit harder. I'm using a medium pressure just to sort of blend in the muted turquoise and help to spread it out a little bit. Just make it stand out a little bit more. It doesn't show up incredibly well on the camera, but you'll see yourself when you start doing it on your own page. You'll be able to see it with your naked eyeball. I would say that's probably one of the very few frustrating things about doing videos like this, is what you have in front of you when you are filming is not necessarily what you can see on camera. And it's not anything to do with the camera quality or anything like that, it's just lighting and one thing and another. So when I'm doing things like this, sometimes you just have to trust me that everything's going to be okay. You all know by now as well, if there's something that's not right or something I'm not happy with, I will always give full disclosure and say, oh no, I don't like that or whatever, and you know, I'll do a bit of work on it to change it and just make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing the way I would like it. But once again, it's one of those things where it is your picture, you're colouring it, no one else is colouring it, so as long as you're happy with it, then that is all that you need. It doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks, to be honest. Yeah. The other thing that you can do as well, if you are a person that likes to have a really saturated, smooth page, is that when you finish these sections, you can go over them and burnish them, either with a white pencil or with a colourless blender or burnisher pencil. I know again that some people, you know, that's just the way they like their pages, and it makes the page feel quite sort of finished and polished. And I encourage you to do that if that's the kind of thing that you normally like to do in your colouring. For me, not so much. It depends on what I'm doing. If I have something that's really bold and bright, then I will more likely favour burnishing and really, you know, using up every single piece of grain that is available in the paper. But with something like this, I think that the fish themselves are bold enough and bright enough, and it's not something that I need to, you know, spend any more time on. I'm just going to move this over a little bit so we can see this last bit here. I love this little guy's face. Look at the expression on his face, he's cute. I'll do these wee bubbles as well, and again that's just to match up with the ones that we did over this side here. And again, because we've been clever and picked these colours, they're still going to stand out against the pastel background when we get to it, so that's going to be absolutely fine as well. Just running this sky blue light over this section here. Nice light layer. Light circular motions. Doesn't matter if you can see some of your pencil lines, because we're going to be going back over it again, so you don't need to be too fussy. Then again, maybe you like to be fussy, and if you do, then take your time. I feel like this should be really dark in here. Again, thinking about where the light source is coming from. So I'll put a little bit more in there. Sometimes it's hard to get in the creases of the page right in here. It's something I used to obsess over quite a lot, and you know, I wanted to make sure that I had got right in there, as far in as I could. And it's one of those things that over time I'm not that bothered about it now, because when the page sits naturally and you're not actually pressing it and holding it down, it's not that obvious anyway. So don't torture yourself over trying to get into absolutely every nook and cranny. It is not the end of the world. Right, so I'm just going to smooth this out now again with the sky blue light. that's looking quite good. So although the colour isn't actually standing out all that well in the paper, you can see the contrast to this little starfish. You know, you can tell that there is definitely colour on the paper because he stands out a lot more. So that's one of the things that you can, although you're having to watch what I'm doing in the, you know, it's not showing up so much in the camera, you know that it's there. So I'll just do these little bubbles now. Again, same thing just as before, not doing anything different. And then a little colour in, that one in there. And I'm just going to go in that sort of semicircular shape. It's more like an accent than actually colouring it in. And I'll just go back over that with it. Oh, dropped a pencil. Just go back over it and blend it in, and it gives it that really nice smooth finish. Okay, I'll do this last little bit here. So I'll take my sky blue light and just run it over. Again, really light pressure, you don't need to put a lot of force on your pencil at this point. And take that into the crease. Now, where are we going to put the matte turquoise? I think I'll have a little bit here. And maybe in here too. Follow this on from that side as well, so that keeps the continuity between this part and this part. Mr. Jem has come in and he has made himself a bacon sandwich, and I can smell it. It's starting to waft through the house towards the cave. It smells lovely. I didn't want one though. Just wasn't hungry earlier, but that smell's kind of making me hungry. Okay, there we go. That is all our seafoam areas filled in. That looks pretty good. And we've kept the continuity on both sides of the page, which is something that just helps pull the whole picture together. So I'm kind of almost out of time, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I did last time, and I am going to colour this tail fin, but I'm going to time lapse it.